Hi everyone, welcome back to Paint with Coos. I'm Joey Coos from right here at Raise Your Mind Art Studio. Well, I'm actually out here in the garage, and this is kind of a follow-up to the previous video that you might have seen about brush cleaning and maybe furthermore handling odorless paint thinner safely. And as I reflect back on the video and kind of listen to some of the things that I said, there was a couple things that I would love to add, so I'm going to do it here. And this video really is going to be geared around recycling sort of your paint thinner. How I use this, probably not unique to me, but I thought it was really worth sharing because it's a system that's worked incredibly well for me over the past several years, and I just figured I'd share it with you. Maybe you find it useful. So I did talk a little bit about you know, some of the safety issues with paint thinner in the previous video, but you know, some of the things that I probably wish I said that I didn't was, and I'm sure you all know this, but it's probably not proper that I don't say it. So paint thinner, as it states right on, you know, any warning label, it is not to be dumped down a drain in your house. It's not to be dumped out into the ground. It is a hazardous material. It can be very bad for the groundwater. So if you think, you know, I live out in the woods, who's going to know if I dump it out, you know, on my property somewhere? But you know, if that seeps down and gets into your drinking water, that, you know, that's bad. That can be very, very bad for the environment. So there are proper ways to dispose of it. I know locally, I just looked up, you know, I kind of did a Google search in my town, and I found that there is a, you know, a transfer station, waste disposal station that I can go to that handles hazardous materials, and you can bring it, and I don't know what they charge, if they charge, I don't know all that. I am definitely not an expert in this. I do have some opinions. I've done some research on some accredited sites, and I've formulated some practices of my own that I feel are safe, I think that are at a good level for me personally, and I'm just going to share it. You know, it's not the only way, it's not necessarily the right way. Like I said, it's my way. I'm comfortable with it. I want to share it with you. Hopefully you find something useful out of it. So the other thing that I kind of wish I had said in the last video is also this. When I'm not using my thinner, I know I keep it, you know, out here in the garage, but I always keep a tight lid on the top. The Bob Ross buckets, they come with a lid, and it's really beneficial so that, number one, your odorless paint thinner doesn't evaporate into the air and, you know, cause potentially, you know, air quality issues wherever you store it, and it saves it. So it's, you know, it's a health benefit to keep it covered, and it saves your material so it doesn't evaporate, which it will. If you left it long enough and just sitting out in the open, it would just evaporate and turn into nothing. But those chemicals do, you know, they find their way into the air, so it's not the best thing. Keep a lid on it. I always do. Whenever I'm not using it, it's always covered up very tightly. So here's my system, and I just want to, I'll go through it rather quickly, but it's really cool. And honestly, for me, I've been painting a lot now for the past probably 3 years. I've never had to go to a transfer station and dispose of any paint thinner. You should, honestly, doing something like this, you should never ever have to dispose of paint thinner. The only thing you'll have left maybe on the bottom is the paint sludge. And sludge, if you've ever seen it or touched it, it's just what it is. It's a slimy sludge. And all that paint residue settles on the bottom, and the clean thinner stays on the top. I took a picture of it. I'll throw it up right now. This is my used bucket that's been settling, probably for, you know, a couple weeks now, and it's all clean, very clean thinner on the top. It's not even discolored, and on the bottom it gathers sludge. And I just keep going and going and going. This, you know, if the sludge builds up too much at some point, yes, I'll have to, you know, take the thinner all off the top and then dry out the sludge. I've done a little research on drying out the sludge and what to do with that sludge. You can take it to a hazardous waste disposal location and they'll dispose of it properly. But I also read, and again, I'm not an expert, but this is what I read off of a .gov. It was a municipality's website, and they recommended that not the thinner, not just the plain liquid thinner, but the sludge itself that settles on the bottom. You can take that in a secure area outside and lay it out on newspaper and let it dry outside, so somewhere it's safe. Kids and animals can't get to it. Make sure it's safe, but you can dry it out there. Once it's dry, you can wrap it up in newspaper and throw it away. So, I mean, that really, I mean, you can manipulate this so that you're not ever dumping it down a drain, you're not ever dumping it in the ground in any water, and you're not having to go and dispose of it, you know, at a municipality as a liquid. The liquid will always rejuvenate itself. It's always reusable. I've been using the same thinner now for it's years. It's amazing. So here it is. Very simple. I have 2 Bob Ross cleaning buckets. All right. I keep one clean, well, fairly clean. I keep one clean with a beater rack in it, and I have one that I use on a regular basis after my paintings. So what happens is I would just take all of this dirty thinner and pour it into my standby bucket. I went and I picked this up at Home Depot. Home Depot, Lowe's, I'm not sure which it was. Comes with a top, covers up, it keeps airtight, and I just keep, you could use a Bob Ross bucket for this if you wanted a third one. You could use whatever. As long as it has a top on it, it works really well. So you saw in the picture how it separates. All I'll do, now that this is the one I've been using, it's dirty, it's nasty, and it's, you know, it's starting to get really hard to clean my brushes. So it's time to switch. Since this has been settled and it is now very clear, I have this old turkey baster. I went and I bought this a couple years ago at the grocery store, and I probably paid, I don't know, $3 or $4 for it. It wasn't much. And I simply just used the turkey baster and bring it from the old bucket and put it into my Bob Ross cleaning system. All it's doing is siphoning how clear. You could probably see how clear that is. I mean, my tube is a little bit discolored, but that thinner is perfectly crystal clear. And there is no, and I've cleaned, I can't tell you, I've cleaned probably hundreds of brushes in this, and I just continue to use it over and over and over. Try not to drip a lot and disturb the sludge that's on the bottom, because once the sludge on the bottom gets disturbed, then the thinner starts to get a little bit discolored. But it's really an incredible system. It really is. It can be done safely. It can be handled safely. I'm in a well-ventilated area. Again, I wouldn't suggest doing this. I certainly am no one to tell anybody what to do. My suggestion, my opinion, I would never bring this into my kitchen and transfer this over. I do it outside on the sidewalk. I do it outside on the patio. I put maybe some papers down or something in case I made a spill, and it would absorb it and not, you know, ruin the paint or anything on my porch. But, you know, just some general safety practices. But this is just wonderful. I have a whole brand new bucket right here of thinner that I can use to clean my brushes. I'm going to put the top back on this because I've siphoned out almost all of it, but you get the idea. You siphon out what's on the top, leave the sludge on the bottom. Now that I've taken all the clean, most of the clean thinner out of that bucket, I can now take my old used one, and you don't know if you can see, probably can't see this, but it's dirty and dingy. And now I can just transfer this right into, now I have gloves on, so I'm okay touching in here. I'm just holding back my beater rack, which is inside. And it's nasty. I mean, they come out and they get covered. But the sludge that's inside of you can see it. There's the sludge right there. Now, you know, at this point, I could probably take this and put it on newspaper and bring it outside and let it dry up somewhere, but I'm not even worried about that right now. I put this all right into this bucket, let it all settle to the bottom, and when this starts to get filled up, then I'll worry about dealing with the sludge. And I'll take some paper towels and I'll wipe that sludge back down even further. But it's a system that has worked, you know, really very well for me. So if you try it, I think you're going to like it. It's certainly a lot cheaper than a lot of other products that you might have to, you know, replenish all the time. Certainly paint thinner you don't have to replenish all the time. You might need, you know, might add a little bit every 6 months, but not like you're going to be using jars and jars and jars of it and having to bring a whole, you know, 5 gallons back to the recycling center. You know, you shouldn't have to do that. If you're using odorless thinners, you shouldn't have to do that, worry about, you know, recycling and whatever. It's, again, those hard oil paints settle to the bottom, and what's left on the top, it's a beautiful clear liquid. It's thinner. It's not degraded whatsoever. It works just as good as when it was new. So yeah, this is the way it works for me. You can think about it, see what works for you, but I use a couple, and then, you know, this one I'll clean up a little bit later. I mentioned it in a couple other videos. Simple Green is what I use. I'll spray everything down and wipe it with paper towels, let it dry out, just throw it in the trash. And Simple Green, clean this up. I'll let this sit and it'll be ready for the next time I want to transfer my settled, new, brand new, fresh, you know, almost brand new and fresh thinner out of my recycle bucket back into a usable cleaning system. And it's tremendous. Again, I've been painting a lot for years now. I've never disposed of any improperly. I've never had to go dispose of any using a system like this. I think it's tremendous. Just be careful. Use it in a ventilated area. Don't do, you know, again, I wouldn't suggest doing this in your kitchen. Go out in the garage. If it's a nice day, do it outside. Put some paper down. Just enjoy the weather and, you know, enjoy yourself and, you know, enjoy the fact that you can rest easy, that, you know, it's not an environmental issue and you're taking good care of, you know, your surroundings, our earth, and you're doing everybody a favor by kind of recycling it yourself. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to say bye for now. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Have a good day.